Hello everybody, and welcome back to another timeline and final thoughts with some commentary on our last campaign that was completed recently over at the Twitch channel. And this one is going to be Tunis. So I'd say overall it was a relatively standard campaign. We were going for the Sons of Carthage achievement, which would require Sicily, Sardinia and Corsica, the Baleares, and the southern Iberian area. So that's not a particularly hard achievement. I'm sure this can be done in the first 50 years without much issue. One of the things that made it a little bit trickier is that Castile got the Aragon PU very quickly. We of course have three weak nations here to the south. We were able to easily conquer these two. This guy's actually aligned with Fezzan, and we decided to go for the diplomatic vassalization on Fezzan. It seemed like a good idea. In the end, it didn't really matter. We didn't really utilize Fezzan as a vassal. We did end up taking a province over here and releasing Algiers, which allowed us to conquer into Tlemcen, getting some reconquests and stuff like that, which was pretty cool. I think because we didn't ally Morocco, Morocco got absolutely annihilated by Portugal and Castile, which is kind of unfortunate because most of Morocco ended up, we had to take that from the Europeans rather than taking it from Morocco, which would have been pretty easy as they didn't really get any good alliances. Somewhere very early on, sometime after Aragon got, taken by Castile, they just let go of Naples. I don't know why. They literally just let go of Naples. Naples had no allies, so it wasn't like they fought for independence. They didn't get any support and fight for independence. They literally just let go of Naples. Naples had no allies. We did a no CB conquest on them. No CB war. Best CB, right? We don't do that very often. We do not do that very often, but we jumped over here and we got a boot hold on Italy, which was kind of nice. First war against Ottomans fought against the Mamluks. We actually dictated it. We gave the Ottomans this much land to build up a bunch of favors. Second war, we ended up taking all the land ourselves. So with the favors, I believe we also attacked into Castile and Aragon using the Ottomans, and we were able to get a sort of a foothold on Sardinia, and we also took Sicily. We took Malta, and then we released the Sicily for the future reconquest, which wouldn't actually happen for a long time. Over here, we're continuing to, I think we took this province, took Malta, released Sicily, and then we took Ceuta and Tangiers. We're beating up Portugal pretty easily. I think we're able to wiggle into some wars with Portugal without Castile being a part of it. Even though we're beating Castile and Aragon in some of these wars, the Ottoman usefulness is about gone. In fact, we can see that they actually did a war against the Mamluks when we weren't looking and called us in. We got a couple provinces, but they ended up getting a bunch. So we're no longer dictating the wars against the Mamluks. The Ottomans are. The Ottomans are also pushing into Europe pretty hard, and they're doing their own thing most of the time. We can't have them help us with any of our wars because they're doing our own thing. Right here, a very significant event just happened. It's like, why do all these nations exist? Wait a second, we don't even have Sardinia anymore? What's going on? Yeah, so the Ottomans ended up like declaring a war on Hungary, and they ended up getting declared a pawn by basically a huge chunk of the HRE, Poland, Lithuania, and it was just, they were still in the war with Hungary and all of Hungary's allies, which we were in that war. We actually were in that war, and I actually came up here and actually sieged down Brandenburg and some other nations and stuff like that. So we actually like literally won the war against Hungary for the Ottomans, because the Ottomans were getting like full sieged by Austria, Poland, and Lithuania. We came up and actually had to actually win the original war to get the Ottomans out of it so that we could get out of that war. But the problem was we lost the Ottoman alliance because of, we didn't want to get tied up into this war that it felt like that they were going to lose. So during that time, of course, it turns out that France decided to join a coalition against us because of, taking Portugal or something. I guess taking Lisbon made everybody upset. But anyway, so it was literally Castile, Aragon, France, Provence, Florence, and Papal State, and maybe some other little people like Siena and stuff like that, in a giant coalition war against just us. We had no allies. I think we actually were able to secure England, but it wasn't enough of a deterrent. I tried to get England, like as I saw that the coalition was forming, I was like, let's just get England and just cross our fingers. Nope, wasn't enough. They declared. And obviously England isn't going to actually provide anything of use. It's just they were meant to be a deterrent, and it did not work out so well. We were able to regain the Ottoman alliance much later, but we didn't ever utilize them. We didn't ever need them. Once we actually lost this war and we had to give up, we ended up releasing these 3 nations. We ended up releasing Sardinia. It was overall, and we ended up giving them, I think, like 2,000 ducats. It was not good. I don't think I've ever taken out so many loans in my life, which is weird considering the fact that we were raiding for a lot of actual cash, right? We were getting a lot of cash, but I felt like we were also like somehow using a lot of cash, even though there wasn't much to build. It was weird. It was, I think it was more of like a phase. Like some phases we were flush with money. Some phases we were like massively in debt. But it was interesting because we, naturally we didn't lose anything we couldn't live without, right? We did re-secure all of this very quickly. We knew that if we released this, we'd just grab it again. It's unfortunate that we had to pay the core penalty, 2 times or whatever, but Sardinia actually ends up being one of the more annoying bits out of all of this. We didn't have to give up Algiers. We're still having them grow. Once that coalition ends, though, we're able to dance around France and not ever get them into another coalition ever again, which is kind of nice. So we were a little bit more cautious, but we were continuing the assault on Portugal. Now we've actually taken some land on Iberia. We're starting to actually take, I know, right? 1570, we're starting to actually take some of the land that we actually need for the Sons of Carthage, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. Kind of crazy if you think about it. We've taken Cairo, we've taken some more bits down here. I think we did this in an independent war. We didn't even fight it with the Ottomans. We just did a war down here, took some bits, got some of the high development provinces up here, completed some of the estates, or states, I mean, and got those all nice and fancy because these are good lands to develop and build buildings in and stuff like that. And once we sort of like determine that we can mono Castile, we're using Portugal to get into war with Castile, because Castile and France were allied like the entire game. It was really annoying, but as long as Portugal existed, we could use Portugal to beat up Castile, and that's kind of what we were doing. So now we're really now it's kind of like a matter of, okay, we have Catalonia, so that we can reconquest all of this, which is cool. And I'm hoping, my fingers are crossed, that we can reconquest all of this at the same time that we reconquest this for Sicily. I know it's funny that we have Sicily here, and like we've had them for over 100 years, and we're just now utilizing that reconquest CP. It's because we could never declare. We could never do a direct declare on Castile because their alliance network was just insane. I mean, it was Florence and France, and Florence was no joke, economically and militarily. Like, a lot of these smaller Italian nations tend to have a large standing army. But we do eventually gather up, integrate the bits for our vassals here. Now Corsica is the last little bit that we need. I think we're going to beat up Castile one more time so that we can grab all this, make it look good, and get what we need for Andalusia. But we need to get Corsica here, and Corsica is allied to France, and they're in the HRE. It's funny because none of this is in the HRE, but this island right here, Corsica, is part of the HRE. So we actually had to figure out a way, okay, how are we going to do that? We're going to direct declare. We ended up going in through Serbia. It was funny that they actually had an alliance with Serbia, but Serbia was allied with Russia, so it wasn't nothing, but we were able to sort of race down Serbia and Corsica fast enough that Russia, we never had to do anything. We never even dealt with Russia. It was fine. And here are the final borders. Once we got the Sons of Carthage achievement, which of course requires doing that as Tunisia, we were able to then form Andalusia, which is a pretty nice color, actually. It's actually a pretty pleasant color. It's very deserty. It very fits. I feel like thematically it looks good. We could, it would have been nice maybe to like have a more defined grasp on Northern Africa, like taking some of these bits here, maybe taking the Suez completely and stuff like that. But for the most part, I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, from this point, 1632, we could easily conquer all of Iberia. We could form the Roman Empire. I say that every single campaign, but it's true. And from this position, we could easily just turn on the Ottomans. Ottomans have lost land. Like, they've actually like been beating. I think there was a massive coalition war actually that fired against them, where they've lost land, but they've taken it back. It's been a back and forth battle for the Ottomans. Back and forth battle for the Ottomans. As we can see, Serbia actually exists, though, right? And Albania existed for a while there too, and they lost some land up here, and they lost a lot of land up here, and they've reconquered some of it, but they're still working on getting all of it back. Emirates are actually looking kind of strong. Yeah. I think one of the cool things, actually, you know what, let's check on this, because Great Britain, wow. England unified the Isles here in just lightning speed. They've been doing this. I feel like ever since Dharma, they've been doing this. It's actually kind of crazy. Usually I find that Scotland actually, like, before Dharma, I feel like Scotland used to actually put up a fight, but I mean, now you're getting, like, before 1500, even with, I mean, look at this. I mean, we're talking 1485. Oh, England. I don't know, I just think, like, for a player, that might not be difficult at all. That's not difficult at all, but with the AI, I just felt like the AI never really did that. And they're doing it very quickly, and it's making them a kind of a powerhouse. Considering, you know, all the trials that they have to go through early on in the game for England, the AI sometimes struggles with that. But it all starts with how this event fires. I typically find that if their wars don't break out between France and Great Britain early, then Great Britain can just, you know, have a pretty good game. So yeah, really bog standard, except for the fact that it was weird that we were conquering like Italy and like we were conquering Portugal. Like we're doing all this conquering that had nothing to do with the achievement we were going for. So this is probably like one of the slowest Sons of Carthage runs ever, but the end result looks pretty good. And we could definitely keep going. We could conquer all of France, Castile. We could beat up the Ottomans. We could form the Roman Empire easily if we felt like it. But we're on to new ventures. That was a fantastic campaign. We ended up losing a massive coalition. We're negative 100% war score. I don't think I've ever lost a war that bad before. Usually the wars that I lose are like, oh, I'm just conceding defeat, or I'm giving you a couple, you know, stacks of ducats. Or maybe I'm giving you my allies' land or something like that. No, this one was like, I'm literally giving you my stuff. Here's all my money. Here, let me release like 4 different nations. So that was really interesting. The Ottomans, it's funny how the Ottomans tend to be like one of the worst allies in the entire game. We were able to leverage them early, which is really what we needed. And then later on, they just ended up being a problem for us more than anything. But they're a nice deterrent. It's always kind of nice to have the Ottoman alliance. We didn't need it though, I think. The one time we actually needed it, we didn't have it, and we survived, so everything's fine. Everything's fine. I think Castile getting the PU over Aragon really early actually really messed us up because it locked up Aragon. We didn't get an opportunity to attack Aragon directly, early, which would have been huge if we could have actually cut down Aragon before they joined up with Castile. But anyways, really fun campaign. Really fun campaign. I think this is what, the second time I've played as a Sunni nation. So that's always a good time. Pretty powerful religion, I feel like. What kind of ideas did we go? Actually, the economy's rocking. We just don't have land to really build a lot of good buildings. Now we do, right? Now we do. But early on, it was like we had money. So economics is just insane. I don't know. This 20% dev cost reduction. Then I think there's I think we're crisscrossing that with something, right? That gives us an extra 10%. Yeah. Crisscrossing it with quantity, actually. So the funny thing was, the nice thing, quantity actually worked out for us because we had the economy. We could build a bigger army. This allowed us to have more manpower and more army, which is one of the things that we were struggling with early, is just having the numbers. So this actually worked out pretty well. And then getting that 30% development reduction was just nuts. I mean, we were getting institutions down here. Just like right as they'd spawn, we'd just get them for 800 monarch points. Easy peasy. That was really cool. So thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out for another timeline of Final Thoughts. This time it was for Tunisia into Andalusia, accomplishing the Sons of Carthage achievement. So thank you so much, guys. I will see you guys on the next one.